Welcome back to another episode. This is Layla, and today we are discussing the Matrix. We're discussing what the word means, and we're just gonna dive right into it. So, the word Matrix is a word that we've been hearing a lot lately, especially on social media. And I find it very funny every time I hear people saying, if you want to escape the Matrix, escape the Matrix. And I'm like, and of course, we're all on different paths and different journey and different levels of consciousness. So I know when I hear someone say they want to escape the Matrix or they want to teach other people how to escape it, I'm like, okay, like you don't even know what that means, which is fine because we all learn at a different pace. But yeah, the Matrix is not something we can escape, and this is something I'm gonna explain in details today. I don't know why there's such a negative connotation with the Matrix. I feel like, you know what, I haven't watched the movie The Matrix, so I'm not sure if that's coming from that movie. I would have to confirm after watching that movie. But we're gonna dive into the meaning of the word first, right? So the word itself, it's from Latin, right? And it means womb. So I actually made a post lately on Instagram about that, and I explained it. I said it is derived from the Latin word mater, so M-A-T-E-R, which means mother. So basically the Matrix is the dark mother matter, which I always talk about. And this is one of the biggest revelation for the Aquarian age. This is, I always assume that most people knew about this, but it's actually the opposite. There's only a very small percentage of women who knows about this because it's been hidden for so long. And especially when it comes to Masonic, teachings, it's been taught to men, generations from generations, right? And women haven't been able to access these information and this type of knowledge because it's always been between men, which used to be the opposite. Women used to be the spiritual teachers, and of course it's coming back now because we're coming back to the divine, template of the earth. But it's slow. We're slowly coming back to it. But yeah, it used to be the opposite. Women used to have these really powerful, spiritual roles in society, and this is something that I talked about in my book as well when it comes to ancient Egypt. And so it's quite fascinating to see how the, people in power, religion, politicians, they've been able to keep that information between them. And there has been a lot of propaganda as well with darkness, the dark energy, right? Having dark skin, where it's most people are programmed to think that darkness is bad. Even when you listen to people talk, they're like, you're gonna come out of the darkness, or they say things like everything that happens in the darkness always comes to light, which is, they're right. When you give birth to a baby, it comes from darkness, but it's there's this whole negative connotation, and it's actually deeper than that. It's not just a negative connotation, it's a deeply rooted fear of dark energy, of the dark mother, which is it's quite interesting when you think about it, because they've been able to make, I don't know how to explain that. They've been able to program the masses to be afraid of themselves, to be afraid of their divinity, to be afraid of their God and goddess self. And of course, it's all part of the same thing. If you understand and embody, your goddess self, you also understand that you are darkness. What do you mean it's bad? What? But of course, if you think darkness is bad, you're never going to be able to reach that highest level of enlightenment, because you're going to be afraid of yourself. Like, that's crazy. To be able to program the masses to be afraid of themselves is, I mean, there's no word for it. It's unbelievable. And it's been going on for like thousands of years. It's been going on for so long. And of course, a lot of us have been waking up in the past years. But yeah, it's wild. Like, can you imagine like having this type of information like 20 years ago and just watch the world like struggle? It's unbelievable. And so when it comes to the word matrix, right? The word matrix explains, basically, it tells you that we live like currently inside a womb. We live inside the cosmic womb. And even in ancient Egypt, they call it the dark sea, right? Like, even in ancient Egypt, they were so advanced, right? You guys can all agree with that. Like, ancient Egyptian teachings were honestly like one of the highest, like most advanced teachings. And it's like you can access this information easily. But of course, if someone was brought up into a religious family, they have so much to unpack and unlearn before diving into dark energy. Because like the Bible like literally tells people that even seeking knowledge is like a sin. Like, can you imagine? So yeah, they've done a really good job at, you know, putting people into the lowest, you know, level of consciousness, which is fear. And not just fear, but it's when you feel this separation from divinity, this separation from source. And what's been quite interesting in the past few years is that I noticed that there are a lot of spiritual teachers that, you know, teach people how to become source, but they've been using different words. Like, no one has been using dark energy, darkness, because they know that people get so triggered. And at first I didn't understood it, because I was like, why, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, I was like, why is this man not using the word darkness? Like, it's making me mad. Like, he's like the void, the quantum field, and I'm like, yeah, the dark mother, you know? And it's kind of like a Disney version, I feel like, of that. But at the same time, I'm not discrediting his work. I think he's been doing amazing, because if he was using the word dark mother, dark energy, oh my God, like, I don't think he would be successful at all. Like, he would have like a really small percentage of people, because of course everybody who was traumatized by religion would never come to his teachings. And, you know, because of course he has a license as a doctor, he has to be mindful about the words that he's using as well. Yeah, and there's so many of them, like Abraham Hicks, you know, she calls it the vortex, and she's like, you are the vortex. But they're all using different words to explain that you are basically source, especially like as a woman. Like, if you have a womb, like, automatically you are source. And we live in a society where men need to harvest feminine energy, or the earth energy, to create wealth or to create some form of living or whatever. Like, they have to harness feminine energy, because they've been so, I mean, of course I'm not talking about all men, but most of them, especially the people in power, because they don't want most women to know how powerful they are. So that's why it's usually vague, right? It's like, oh yeah, the divine feminine power. And it's like, yeah, it means that you are source. It means that you create realms, like right now, all the time. And when you keep so many women in fear, right, by using the media, by using actors, paid celebrities, whatever, they have like all these different types of propaganda to keep people in fear or into these lower states of consciousness, then you have a society where most women create this reality where they don't have power and politicians have the most power. Like, that's how powerful women are. Like, if you think you're not powerful and that someone or something has power over you, then so it is. You know, that's how powerful women are. And so, yeah, I guess that's the main reason why it's been hidden for such a long time. But it used to be different. It used to be well known. And the whole thing about, the path of the Holy Grail, like the Holy Grail is the uterus. It's the shape of the uterus. Even the Masonic rituals, they're all about menstrual blood and harnessing feminine energy, which is ironic because women are not allowed in these rituals. But trust me, they do get access to like high priestess blood, menstrual blood, actually. Anyway, so I wanted to discuss as well about the word alchemy, right? Wanted to get into the etymology of the word alchemy. So let me just read a few phrases from a book called Womb Awakening. So it says here, even the word alchemy, the great work of transformation, comes from the Egyptian root word chem, so Khem, meaning black or the dark womb, the primordial crucible of death and rebirth. What else should I add to that? Let me see. Yeah, it's quite fascinating how we have this information now, right? Because I guess it's circulating more with social media. But once again, if you have most people in fear of their power, if you have people in fear of darkness, because especially with the whole like religious thing, and even in the spiritual community as well, like everybody's like the light is like 4% of the universe. It's the illusion, actually. Like everything that is created in the darkness comes out to light. Like that's literally what it means. So for example, let me get more practical about my explanations, right? Because I feel like people haven't been explaining this very clearly or like in a more practical way. So the dark mother, it's also another word for it is the dark cauldron of bliss. Okay. So even like with witches, right? And on Halloween, like we always see these like cauldron and everything. It represents the womb. It represents the dark mother. So for example, as a woman, you start playing with dark energy, not black magic. It's not the same thing, not shadow magic, not like the fear thing. No, divine darkness. So for example, you want to create something in your life. I don't know, you want to launch an album, a book, whatever. Like all celebrities do it, by the way. Sometimes they're not aware. It's usually like the media company behind them, but whatever. They all do it. And so you take a cauldron, you take a black candle. Of course, you want to do this at night. You can use the new moon, the black moon, but it doesn't matter. Like as long as it's dark, it's pitch black. And so you're going to be writing, of course, on a piece of paper with black ink what you want to create. And of course, you want to talk in the present tense. This is, by the way, one of the fastest ways to manifest anything. By using dark energy, you're using source energy. You're using the energy of creation. Just like when you create a baby, like the baby is in the womb, right? Same thing. So you want to write down in the present tense. So for example, you can say, I don't know, I have a best-selling book. Like I am a best-selling author. I'm an incredible musician, I'm whatever. Like you can, my music is heard by millions of people across the world, right? And you write in the present tense, and then you have to put the paper inside the cauldron, and that's it. You just keep it in the darkness. So it can be like a black box as well, but I feel like the cauldron like really represents the womb. And so you just have to keep it closed or like in a space where it's dark, like a closet or whatever, like a drawer. And that's it. You keep this these statements, these affirmations, you keep them in the darkness. And very quickly, it's actually crazy, you're going to notice that the light, so your 3D, your conscious reality, like, when you wake up, is going to be reflecting what you wrote on those affirmations. So this is one way to work practically with dark energy. And of course, you want to do alchemy prior to working with dark matter, because if there's any sort of like trauma, you want to make sure that you're really working from that clean slate. But just in general, when you work with source energy, you are God, like you are a goddess. So there shouldn't be anything in your way. Like it's just a matter of not even time, it's a matter of alignment, where things are just going to flow into your reality. And that's actually the quickest way to manifest. And the other way, which is also something that I teach here, is by using your subconscious mind, which is, it represents the moon. The subconscious mind controls 96% of our daily actions, which is the same percentage of the dark energy. The dark matter represents 96% of the universe. So when you're working with your subconscious mind, you're working with dark matter as well. But I know sometimes when you say to people, oh, let's work with dark energy, they're like, whoa, no way. But yeah, you're basically working with your subconscious mind. Sorry, my cat is being so loud. Just give me a second. I guess my cat agrees. So where was I? I was being distracted by my cat. Okay. Yes. So the other way to work with dark energy is by working with the subconscious mind. So when you listen to these affirmations at night, so I have a playlist, right? That's called subliminal programming. When you listen to these videos at night, the best thing to do is to pick one and to listen to it for 28 days, because that's how long it takes to create new neural pathways in the brain. And that's also how you really anchor this energy in a very sustainable, permanent way. And so that's another way, that's another practical way to use dark matter, dark energy. And so that's what it is. That's basically what it is. And when you have, as a woman, when your womb is connected to your heart, so when you've done alchemy between those two chakras and the energy is very, is flowing again, you're going to be able to connect with your heart's desires, right? So you're not going to be sharing them with anyone, because that's another thing as well within planet Earth. When you share your dreams and aspirations to the wrong people or to people with lower states of consciousness, what's going to happen is that, like, on an energetic level, they don't want you to get higher, because of course, when you get your heart's desires, you raise your frequency. So they don't want that. The phrase misery loves company comes from that. So they're going to try to hold you back, hold you down to your old self or to your past. And sometimes it can be your friends, your family. So the worst thing to do is, when you have a heart's desire, for example, you want to get married, you just know in your heart that you have this soul partner somewhere and that's going to arrive. And so especially if you haven't connected with that person, and even if you connected, always keep your manifestation private before they're permanent. If you have a ring, okay, you can talk about your marriage, but yeah, always keep it silent, because energetically people can pardon me, they can slow down the process for sure, and they can also interrupt it if, for example, you start to believe them more than your heart. This is how you get to you stop your manifestations. That's what it is. So you want to keep it private, you want to keep it to yourself, and you want to work with dark energy to manifest very quickly. You don't want to wait years, because that's the thing, when you use the light, when you use time, space, and matter, that's masculine, that's the light. Again, you're bound by time and space and matter, so it takes forever. And just listen to people that are very successful, that, for example, have like a thriving business that's been operating for the past like 20-30 years, if you talk to them, they're gonna tell you like maybe the first like decade they weren't successful, like it took them literally like 20 years. That's like super human mode, masculine light consciousness, like to wait so long and to be consistent for that long. It's super masculine, and I guess it works for men, but women shouldn't follow this type of lifestyle or type of manifesting, because we're not wired for that. Like, we're wired to get instant manifestations, or like, honestly, especially now with how the earth is changing its frequency, and it's been rising. Honestly, it takes me sometimes between like 24 to 48 hours to get what I want. Like, that's how quick it is. And that's why I'm being so mindful about who I'm talking to and what I do and what I eat and what I, read and what type of music I listen to, because I'm like, things manifest like super quickly lately. But of course, I had to go through this like whole process of shadow work and alchemy, and to really like remove and burn down, like, in a figurative way. Like, I didn't burn anything, but I had to like use the fires to like really remove like anyone that wasn't aligned with my heart, with my soul's desires, I would say. So yeah, and it's quite interesting to know that in space, the way the Earth and Venus interact, like the way they move, they swirl, I would say, and this is something you can find on Google. After 8 years, the movements that they've been doing creates a rose. Like, how beautiful is that, And it really represents, and it shows that the heart and the womb are connected, basically. And by using the frequency of the roses, which is the frequency of love, you can create anything in your life, like literally anything. And I feel like that's why this type of information has been hidden, and the whole like, don't worship Mary Magdalene has been coming from, because Mary Magdalene, is connected to roses, and within her teachings, and this is also what we teach inside the Hathor Mystery School, like all the different gates within the womb have different types of like roses and everything. And even for us, like the golden rose is the rose that we use for our teachings, which is the rose of enlightenment. And it's all connected. It's all connected, and it's really beautiful to not only understand this type of knowledge, but to embody it and to apply it in a very practical day-to-day life, because that's how we're able to use spirituality. Spirituality is not meant to just be read in books. It's meant to help us heal and really get to that higher timeline, when we get to a life of bliss and peace and freedom, which is possible for everybody. But of course, we have to like unlearn and unprogram like all the BS and all the fear about our own power. So that's it for today's episode. Let me know if you want me to get more into details about specific information, and I'll see you tomorrow for our next episode.